Here's what we got. I want you to tell me, as I read through this top 25 very quickly,
Okay.
who's too high.
Or we'll go through a
too
top 10, top 12, top 15, whatever you want, Ty.
Here's 1 through 10. All right.
Okay.
Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State at 5. LSU at 6. Tennessee at 7. Clemson at 8. Texas at 9. USC at 10.
Okay.
Who's too high? Who's too low?
I'd move USC maybe up a little bit. I'd certainly move USC ahead of Texas and Tennessee in this moment. Wouldn't you?
Okay. I think Tennessee at 7 is a little high.
I think Tennessee at 7 is a little bit high. I said that Penn State would likely be my team that has never made the playoff, that I like them to make the playoff. If everybody kind of hits approximately their expected ceiling, Penn State is a very good team or a very good option for me to be that first-time playoff team. So I don't hate them that high, but it does, when you see it, you're like, ooh, wow.
That hits a little different for me. 5 is too high for Penn State. They could get to a top 5 caliber team. It's very possible, but I would be inclined to put them below LSU.
Yeah.
I'd be inclined to put them below Texas. I'd be inclined to put them below Clemson, certainly below USC at this point. I think Penn State would be very, very good, but with such a big unknown at quarterback.
Right.
And I'm in on Drew Allard, don't get me wrong. But we got to see something out there. Maybe after week 1, I'll feel differently.
Right.
Okay, if they go out there and destroy West Virginia, if he throws for 280 yards and doesn't commit any bonehead mistakes, maybe I'll feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
But to start, 5 is really high. That's really high, man.
It's striking that 4 of the top 5 in this poll, and in a lot of polls and combinations thereof, have new quarterbacks, right? Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State. And so while it kind of makes sense to look at the top, that it feels like there's also potential for a lot of volatility given new quarterback play. And then, of course, Tennessee, new quarterback. Clemson, new full-time starting quarterback. And then, of course, Texas has a returner, and USC certainly has a returner. And you get outside of the top 10, Ty. Like, I think I'd have Florida State in the top 10, and they're outside. They're number 12.
That was going to be my next question. So as we go outside the top 10, we've got Utah at 11, Florida State at 12, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Washington to round out the top 15. Of those teams, I think we agree that Florida State's probably a top 10 team.
Yeah.
They feel too low. Are there any others in that grouping that you'd be inclined to put in your top 10?
Yeah, other than Florida State, I'd dip Utah down. I'm high on Oregon at the moment, and then I read a new piece. I think it was Brian Hamilton at The Athletic wrote a feature about Bo Nix, and he just seems like he's 28. And you're like, I'm even higher on Oregon than I was before, but offense is not going to be the issue for the Ducks. But I'd have them maybe a little bit higher at 13. I think probably in like the 9 or 10 area right now. I'd have Washington a little bit higher in the 12 or 13 area, and I'd dip Texas and I'd dip Utah. Maybe dip Tennessee, though I am pretty high on Tennessee just because I think that Joe Milton and that system is sort of a match made in heaven. And I anticipate, hopefully, the back end of that defense being a little bit more consistent now that they're should be healthier this season. But that's sort of wait and see for me at the moment. But with how they started out last year, I think you give them at least a chunky benefit of the doubt as being top 10, top 12. So
what we saw from Notre Dame was better than the 14th best team in the country. What we saw from them. Again, I realize it was Navy, but the way that they played in that game, the way that the defense played especially, that was better than top 14. They should be top 10 with that type of performance.
Okay, but do you see any of these teams ahead of Notre Dame on this? Oregon, Florida State, Utah, USC, Texas, Clemson, Tennessee, LSU, Penn State, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia. Do you see any of them not doing that against Navy? Like, do you look at any of those teams and saying, I don't know, they might have really struggled to get going across the ocean at Aviva Stadium? Yeah. That's the issue to me. Like,
that's fair.
I think a lot of these teams would kind of blow.
I don't have a great retort to that, Dan. I'm still right.
No, I understand. Taking care, Notre Dame did it, right? I'm using a hypothetical argument. So Notre Dame certainly has the potential, especially if Navy's okay this year. That'll be a nicer win than we know at the moment. But yeah, I think what Notre Dame showed, and with what Sam Hartman has a track record of showing as a high-level college football quarterback, yeah, Notre Dame absolutely has the top 10 ceiling.
He could throw 5 picks against Clemson. That's not beyond the realm of possibilities.
Sure.
What I like about the offense is that they don't need him to go out there and throw it that much.
Yeah.
I think they've got enough of a complementary ground game that this will be very, very balanced. But alas, he's got that in him. We've seen it. Here are the remaining 10 teams in this composite poll. Again, put together out in our verballers.com community by Sally, who's very prominent on Discord. We appreciate his hard work here.
Yes.
TCU at 16, Kansas State at 17, Ole Miss 18, Oklahoma way too low at 19.
I'd have them higher. Yeah.
Way too low at 19. Oregon State at 20. Then we close it out with Wisconsin, Iowa, Texas A&M way too low at 23, Mississippi State and Kentucky. Mississippi State and Kentucky. The two that jump out to me for being too low, definitely Oklahoma at 19. Oklahoma is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they're 19. Oklahoma is going to be really, really good again this season. And I shouldn't say again because I realized last season wasn't
it was a tough...
quite living up to expectations.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to that. But I think Oklahoma will again be very much in the conversation deep into the season. So they're way too low at 19. And Texas A&M at 23 is too low. It's too low. They might not crack the top 10, but as top 15 team late in the season, provided Connor Wegman is the guy, provided that they keep Jimbo away from the offense, they should be higher than 23.
I don't know, man. Aggies are going to Aggie. You know that. I think that's just as long as Jimbo's there, you kind of know what you're going to get. I know he was outside of the playoff, just a hair outside of the playoff in 2020, but I don't know. I don't think enough has changed. So, yeah, I would move Oklahoma up. I would move TCU down. I think Oregon State's right there. I think Wisconsin I would have a little bit higher in the mid-teens at the moment with how high I think I am. Iowa is interesting. I don't know what to think about Iowa. Mississippi State I'd move down. Kentucky I'd move up. And of the teams just outside, UCLA, Arkansas, North Carolina, Texas Tech, Minnesota, I think of those 5, Texas Tech and UCLA are the ones that I could see being top 20-ish.
I was going to move Carolina up.
North Carolina up?
Yeah. The closer we get to week 1, and the more I've been digging on North Carolina, I hate their defense.
I know.
I truly hate their defense, but I really love Drake May.
Of course.
And their offense will again be electric. And it will be, if you are a Carolina fan, one of those frustrating seasons where Drake May is trying to overcompensate for the defense. But
no Phil Longo.
He's just no Phil Longo, but Drake May is just so damn good, man.
I know.
He's so damn good. And I got to believe that they are good enough to be a top 20 caliber team on offense alone.
Man, you got Mac Brown nibbling on your earlobe. I don't know. I don't know, Ty. The Texas love, anything remotely associated with Texas. Now North Carolina. Look, okay.
I'm in on UCLA and Texas Tech too.
Okay.
My problem is I'm in on just about everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't dislike those picks. I just think that Carolina here is very quiet at 28.
Okay.
And they're favored this week against South Carolina. South Carolina is not without its own issues. But that neutral site game, I think, will tell us a lot about both these teams.